Hello, good morning. Welcome to another exciting time to talk about business. It is Business 360, and my name is Blyden Luken. Breaking this morning, we've heard that oil exchanges fall on Trump's ceasefire talks, and we begin from there. Oil prices fell about 3% today, extending a more than 7% slide from the previous session after Trump announced a tentative ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran. The market also shocked off Iran's retaliatory strike on US base in Qatar, which caused no casualties, while Tehran's decision to avoid targeting the Strait of Hormuz helped ease concerns over oil supply disruption. In China, China's top legislature will review a draft revision to an anti-unfair competition law this week, focusing on regulating cyberspace competition. Multiple observation indicates the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress will deliberate the draft for a second time from Tuesday to Friday, Xinhua reported. According to a spokesperson for the Legislative Affairs Commission of the National People's Congress Standing Committee, Han Yahua, the revision introduces a fair competition review system and aims to curb aggressive rivalry among online platforms. It outlines responsibilities for platform operators to address unfair practices and empowers regulators to act against misconduct. The draft defines unfair behavior, including data rights violation, bad faith transactions, large firms abusing market dominance by delaying payments to smaller businesses. The law, first enacted in 1993, was previously amended in 2017 and 2019. Meanwhile, the head of cooperation at the delegation of the European Union EU to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Mr. Marcino De Luca, has said the organization has committed about 1.1 billion euros in support of the African Union's implementation of Africa Continental Free Trade Agreements. He stated this while speaking on Monday at the 4th African Union Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Forum in Abuja, lamenting that access to finance remains presenting a pressing challenge for businesses in the region, especially MSMEs. According to Daluka, if Africa fails to harness the potential in the informal sector for small businesses to grow, the continent will keep growing around the same cycle of despair. Also, the United Nations Development Programme UNDP, a resident representative in Nigeria, Ms. Elsie Atafwa, emphasized the need for enabling ecosystems to help MSMEs move from resilience to scalable impact. And now to what Flutterwave is doing in Cameroon. Flutterwave, Africa's leading financial technology company, is reinforcing its commitment to businesses in Cameroon with a comprehensive suite of digital payment services that are officially licensed by the Central Bank for Central African states. As one of the few fintechs authorized to operate in the country, Flutterwave is helping businesses in Cameroon, whether small shops, service providers, or large corporations, accept payments, helping them to accept payments, make payouts, and manage financial operations with ease and security. In Nigeria, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, has said that the reforms introduced by the Bola Tinubu administration have effectively dismantled the dollar black market and boosted the federal government's revenue to 6.9 trillion naira between January and April 2025. The figure represents a 40% increase compared to the 5.2 trillion naira recorded during the same period in 2024. Edu made this known in Abuja on Monday during the second quarter 2025 a citizens and stakeholders engagement session on fiscal performance and reform outlook. He attributed the surge in revenue to the administration's liberalization of the foreign exchange market, fiscal discipline, and the deployment of technology to block leakages across ministries, departments, and agencies. The minister explained that prior to the reforms, arbitrage opportunities in the forex market enabled individuals to profit by accessing dollars at official rate and selling at premium in the black market. In Lagos, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has raised the alarm that a planned ban on single-use plastics in Lagos State will wipe out the livelihood of over 89% of operators in the plastic value chain. The Director General of MAN, Segun Ajayi-Kada, issued the warning in a statement on Monday, calling on the Lagos State government to hold the ban and instead adopt more inclusive and evidence-based solutions. Ajayi-Kada said a recent MAN-supported study evaluating the possible impact of Lagos State SUP's ban revealed significant adverse economic, operational, as well as social implications across the value chain, from manufacturers to wholesalers, traders, and end users. The Lagos State Ministry of Environment plans to enforce the ban on certain single-use plastics from July 1st, 2025. Still in Nigeria, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria has announced plans to increase tariffs for all service providers operating at its airport as part of efforts to improve revenue generation. Additionally, the authority will phase out all cash transactions at payment points and moving towards a fully automated and contactless payment system. FAAN disclosed that 92% of its current revenue comes from aeronautical sources, while only 8% is derived from non-aeronautical activities, a stark contrast to global standards where non-aeronautic revenue accounts for over 40% in many developed countries. This shift, the agency said, marks a critical step in modernizing its operation and rebalancing its revenue structure. And now we'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, Business 360 continuing with some Nigerian perspective and transcending even into global economic standings around the world and the markets. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's Business 360, and my name is Blyden Kim. As you're looking at the world of business around Nigeria, beginning with MPA as a high 1.28 trillion naira revenue for 2025. The Nigerian Port Authority has earmarked a revenue generation target of 1.28 trillion naira in 2025. This is up from the 894.86 billion naira it realized in 2024. The revenue target, according to the agency, is anchored on ambitious reforms aimed at modernizing port infrastructure, harnessing advanced technology, and capitalizing on increased maritime activity, especially with the expected full-scale operation of the Dangote refinery. The managing director of NPA, Abubakar Dansoho, made the projection during the 2025 budget defense session before the House of Representatives Committee on Ports and Harbors. He noted that over 70% of next year's projected spending will go into capital-intensive projects. Meanwhile, Nigerian petroleum market has increased fuel price 2 times in 1 week. Nigerian petroleum products marketers have increased the price of motor spirit twice, 2 consecutive times in less than 1 week. Similarly, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited also jacked up its retail fuel price to 945 naira and 915 naira in Abuja and Lagos. Reacting, the president of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association, Abubakar Maigadi, blamed the knee-jerk petrol price hike on the surge in global crude oil prices as a result of Israel-Iran strike. Meanwhile, global crude prices fell this morning amid a tentative ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran. This could also affect the price of gasoline locally. And now let's look at the top 10 African countries with the lowest fuel prices in June 2025. While most of the continent continue to face high gasoline costs compared to its purchasing power, a few countries have managed to protect their citizens and businesses from energy price fluctuations. The advantages of this technique are large and worth investigating. One of the most obvious benefits of decreasing gasoline prices is lower transportation and food expenditures. Decreased gasoline price a result in decrease of public transit and freight expenses in African countries where significant population rely on road transport for commuting and commodity delivery. This serves to alleviate the burden of inflation while also protecting customers against sudden rises in food costs, which is especially essential in an area where food security remains precarious. Additionally, our corporate competitiveness is improved. Lower gasoline prices cut overhead expenditures in industry, shipping, and agriculture. This makes it easier for local firms to operate and grow, attracting investment and providing employment opportunities. Social stability also increases in areas where fuel is available. While the global average of fuel price ticks upward, rising slightly from $1.25 per liter in May to $1.27 in June, it is hard to argue that this stability is critical for preserving investor trust and sustaining economic activity. With that said, let's look at the 10 African countries with the lowest of fuel prices currently, according to data from Global Petrol Prices. And now we look at the list of 10 African countries with the lowest of fuel prices. Compared to last month, top 10 list of fuel prices for Libya, Angola, Algeria, Egypt, Nigeria, Tunisia, and Liberia all increased, while the fuel price in Sudan remained the same. Ethiopia is the only country on the list with a lower fuel price this month than last month's. The Democratic Republic of Congo ousted Gabon from the 10th spot this month. Of inclusive development. When the necessities are inexpensive, families have less financial stress. They can afford nicer homes, healthier food, and a good education. This results in healthier and more productive societies and stronger communities. And lower living costs give consumers more discretionary cash to spend on products and services. This boosts demand, promotes company growth, and broadens the tax base, all of which increase national income without raising taxes. African countries with a low cost of living possess a distinct edge in a world where economic instability and inflation are prevalent headlines. And now this list is courtesy of number. Libya ranks number one on the list. Let's look at the top 10 African countries with the lowest cost of living in mid 2025. And let's look at the charts and the standings in this regard. At number one, Libya. Well, it seems to be a different one. That's the lowest fuel price. Let's look at the top 10 African countries with the lowest cost of living. And now, apologies for that delay for the visuals. And now let's look at the top 10 African countries that have a living index in May 2025 with a lowest cost of living. At number one, Libya. Well, the cost of living index mid 2025 in Libya is 18.6, a global rank second. Interesting, Libya, the cost of living in Libya so low, number second in the world. And Egypt, 19 index level, a third, Madagascar, a sixth globally, Algeria, number four, 14th globally. Number five, Tunisia, 20th globally. Six, Uganda, 23rd globally. Nigeria, seven, 25th globally in terms of ranking. And Morocco, number eight. Number nine, Kenya, and number 10, Namibia. And now to Turkey. Turkey tourism dips in May. Turkey saw a 1.8% year-on-year decline in foreign visitors in May 2025, totaling 5.04 million, after an 8% rise in April. Among the top five source countries, all but two recorded decreases. Bulgaria saw the sharpest drop, a negative 8.7%, followed by Germany and Russia. In contrast, arrival from the United Kingdom and Iran increased by 2.1% and 1% respectively. Antalya at 34.8% overtook Istanbul 33.1% as the most visited province, followed by Mughla and Adrian. Overall foreign arrival in the first 5 months of the year were down 1% compared to the same period in 2024. And now to Israel. Israel's current account surplus hit 6-quarter high. Israel recorded a current account surplus of $5.72 billion in the first quarter of 2025, the largest since the fourth quarter of 2023, up from an upwardly revised $3.99 billion in the previous quarter. The goods deficit narrowed to $6.94 billion from $7.87 billion in the prior quarter, while the services surplus slipped slightly to $10.14 billion from $10.49 billion. The primary income account swung to a $0.08 billion surplus, reversing a $0.74 billion deficit. Meanwhile, the secondary income surplus increased to $2.44 billion from $2.11 billion. And now to the market as gold slide amid Israel-Iran ceasefire. A gold fell to around $3,350 per ounce today, hovering near 2-week low as ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran reduced demand for safe haven assets. President Donald Trump on Monday announced that both nations had agreed to a complete ceasefire, adding that Iran will begin the truce immediately, followed by Israel after 12 hours. Trump's comments came shortly after Iran met a token retaliation against a U.S. base in Qatar, though no casualties were reported. And now we go to the market, the metal market quickly, and afterwards the energy market and agricultural market next, and we'll slide into the financial market immediately. So we look at the energy market this morning. The energy market. Energy market indicates different prices, the price of different commodities. A U.S. crude oil price level stands at 66.47 US dollars per barrel, downward by 2.037 points, a negative 2.97%, while Brent, which represents Nigeria's price benchmark, the price level standing at 69 US dollars per barrel, downward by 2.11 points, a negative 2.95% depreciation. And natural gas also falling, gasoline gaining slightly but no significant change in the market. Quickly, let's look at the metals. The metal market, the price of gold. A gold price stands at 3,324 US dollars per ounce, falling by 43.85 points this morning, a negative 1.3%. A silver price, 36 US dollars per ounce, also dropping but slightly. Copper price gaining 0.78% this morning, and steel price falling by 13 points, 2,951 Chinese yuan per ton. The agricultural market. Agricultural market indicates the price of soybeans this morning at 1,056 US dollars per bushel, falling 1.97 points, and wheat price at 545 US dollars per bushel, also falling 6.76 points, a number falling 5.38 points. Palm oil falling by 5 points, 4,120 Malaysian ringgit per ton. And quickly, let's go to other markets, the financial market. Let's look at the state of the naira. The US dollar against the naira as we're set to close. The US dollar against the naira, a price level stands at 1,549 naira to the US dollar, the dollar falling by 1 point. The euro against the naira at 1,796 naira to the euro gaining 1.6 points over the naira, and the pound at 2,107 naira to the pound gaining 10 points over the naira. We close with a cryptocurrency market this morning. A crypto market indicates the price of Bitcoin. A Bitcoin price of 105,103 US dollars, falling 464 points. Ether dropping 18 points this morning, and Binance gaining 0.3 points. Cardano, Solana, Ripples, all on the negative. Well, the crypto market seemed to be struggling this morning. Well, it's a story of the market from the commodities to the financials. And here we draw the curtain in today's edition of Business 360. Thank you for being a part of it. My name is Bladon Kim, and thank you for watching.